All right. Let's take the Kayena Vacha Chittena Pamadena Maya Katang Achayang Kamame Bante Buri Panya Tathagata Kayena Vacha Chittena Pamadena Maya Katang Achayang Kamame Dhamma Sanditika Akalika Kayena Vacha Chittena Pamadena Maya Katang Achayang Kamame Sangha Supatipana Anuttara Sa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Buddhang Saranang Gacchami Dhammang Saranang Gacchami Sanghang Saranang Gacchami Tisarana Gamanang Paripunang Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Adina Dana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Abrahmacharya Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Musawada Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Surameraya Majapamadatthana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Vikala Bhojana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Nacha Gita Wadita Visuka Dasana Malaganda Vilepana Dharana Mandana Vibhusanathana Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami Uchasayana Mahasayana Veramani Sikkhapadang Sikkhapadang Samadhiyami. Idang me silang Magapala Jnanasa Pachayo Hotu Appamadena Sampadeta Sa. Right. Let us do some guided karuna before we start the Dhamma talk. Like we sit here. Relax the body. Any tension, tightness, let it all go. Any thoughts, planning, memories, we also let it all go. Relax on top of the head. Relax on top of the head. Down to the forehead, face. Down to the neck, shoulders. To the arms, to the chest, to the stomach area. To the spine, to the back. To the buttock. To the thighs, calves. Knees. Ankles, soles. Toes. So relax the body, keeping the mind open, calm, and mindful. Whatever suffering, whatever mental suffering I'm going through, may I be free from all this suffering. Whatever physical suffering that I'm going through, may I be free from all this suffering. Whatever suffering due to living from day to day, may I too be free from all this suffering. And whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may I to be free from all this suffering. Whatever mental suffering I'm going through, may I be free from all this suffering. Whatever physical suffering I'm going through, may I be free from all this suffering. Whatever suffering due to living from day to day, may I be free from all this suffering. And whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may I too be free from all this suffering. Now let us expand our compassion. Expand the compassion. Reach out to all the monks, nuns, fellow yogis, to the helpers, volunteers, workers, to all the guardian devas of this center, to all other devas residing in this neighborhood, to all the unfortunate beings, the petas, and to all the animals, big or small, far or near. Whatever mental suffering that we are going through, may we all be free from all this suffering. Whatever anger, anxiety, restless mind, aversion, jealousy, that we are going through, may we all be free from all this suffering. Whatever pains of the body, illnesses, diseases, aches, may we all be free from all this physical suffering. Whatever suffering due to living from day to day, seeking out a living, going through our daily lives, seeking for food, and so on. May we too be free from all this suffering. And whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, due to aging, disease, death, and birth, may we all too be free from all this suffering. Now let us expand our compassion, reaching out to all the beings in this country, wherever they are, near or far away, humans or non-humans, devas or petas, animals big or small, far or near, seen or unseen. Whatever mental suffering that they are going through, may they all be free from all their suffering. Whatever physical suffering they are going through, may they all be free from all their suffering. Whatever suffering they go through due to the living from day to day, may they too be free from all their suffering. And whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they too be free from all their suffering. Whatever mental suffering they're going through, may they be free from all their suffering. Whatever physical suffering they're going through, may they too be free from all this suffering. Whatever suffering due to living from day to day, may they too be free from all their suffering. Whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they too be free from all their suffering. Now let us expand. Let's expand the compassion, reaching out to all beings in this world. Whether they are our loved ones near or far away, or those people whom we do not know, or those who dislike or those who dislike us or those whom we dislike. To all the guardian devas of the sasana, to all other devas residing in this world, to all the petas, and to all the animals, big or small, far or near, seen or unseen. May all beings in this world, without exception, whatever mental suffering they are going through, may they be free from all their suffering. And whatever physical suffering they are going through, may they be free from all their suffering. Whatever suffering due to living from day to day, may they all be free from all this suffering. May all beings in this world able to live in peace and not in war, able to live with kindness and compassion, and not in cruelty or violence. Whatever mental suffering they are going through, anger, jealousy, fear, may they too be free from all this suffering. Whatever physical pain, illness, sickness, aches, may they be free from all their suffering. And whatever suffering due to living from day to day, may they too be free from all their suffering. And whatever suffering they go through, due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they too be free from all their suffering. Now let us reach out. Reach out to all the beings without exception, as far as the mind can go. To all the beings in this universe or universes, to all the beings from the highest planes of existence down to the lowest plane of existence, to all the beings in all the world systems, may all beings without exception, whatever mental suffering they're going through, may they be free from all this suffering. Whatever physical suffering they're going through, may they too be free from all this suffering. And whatever suffering due to living from day to day, may they too be free from all their suffering. And whatever suffering due to the cycle of birth and rebirth, may they too be free from all their suffering. May all the suffering ones be suffering free. May all the suffering ones be suffering free. May all beings be free from all kinds of suffering. Slowly we let go of the compassion. Bring the mind back to the present moment, back to rising and falling of the abdomen. Feel the sensation of the body. Then we can slowly open our eyes. Okay. So on Tuesday, we were looking into the tranquility as the fifth component of the 7 factors of enlightenment. The tranquility here, it means it's eliminate, the disquietude or the noisiness of the mind, or the chattering nature of the mind, or the agitation of the mind. When it arises, the minds become calm and peaceful. As I said that day, also different speakers or different what you read in the book, sometimes the word calm and peaceful may connote different things. One teacher or one speaker or one person, one author may write what is calm and peaceful very different from another one. Although it looks the same, but it due to the different nature of the mental aspect. Yeah. And one of it is because of tranquility. So the tranquility here, when it arises, it overcomes the agitation of the mind. And that is good. Because when it overcomes the agitation of the mind, then in that sense, the mind is calm and peaceful. But the thing is that when we are doing vipassana, the mind is still fully alert of noting what is going on, minus the chattering mind, minus the restless mind, minus all kinds of thinking and so on. But that is important for us to remember, because a lot of times when we talk about tranquility, if we don't talk about it as a whole, then sometimes people tend to look at it as just one thing, and then the whole mind is quiet, and then they like that. But in Vipassana, quiet means you're not agitated, but at the same time, you're fully alert of what is going on with your object of your meditation. That means the mind has certain degree of activeness, and yet at the same time, the mind is without all the chattering and all the thinking and planning and so on. Then also I mentioned that when the tranquility becomes prominent, certain times the tranquility becomes prominent, even the labeling mind, that we use it for vipassana again and again, that labeling mind also disappear. And sometimes when it's prominent, you try to make the labeling also cannot, because the mind just shut it off. The tranquility shut it off. But you're still noting. Mind is actively noting. That is tranquility when we connect it with meditation, when in vipassana meditation. But once in a while, for some yogis, this type of tranquility can become prominent for a longer period of time compared to other yogis. The problem is that when the tranquility arises, sometimes if the mind is not careful, the faculty or the energy factor starts to drop. When it starts to drop and then the tranquility becomes so prominent, that means the mind is not actively noting. In other words, your object that you're paying attention, it begins to blur. It begins to but too subtle, and then the mind is not noting much of things. Quiet, yes, the mind is quiet, no thinking, nothing, peaceful, but it is not noting anymore. That means the effort starts to drop already. That means the mind also at this time, it is not noticing it thoroughly or seeing it, what is going on with the object. It kind of like there only. Yeah. So that means the tranquility become a lot, a bit too much. And then here, because of that tranquility becomes too much, usually the attachment, the desire for it, the delight into that calmness of the mind starts to creep in. So the yogi wants it again and again. They like it because it's pleasant. So they like it. So the first time that they have it, they feel that this is very different from the state of mind in the everyday world. The everyday world, the state of mind is very noisy, agitated. To you, is having calm and peace. What it means, a lot of people is go to the beach side and sit there, shake leg, look at the birds like that. That's called calm and peace. Kai kai. That is not calm and peace. Externally peace, but mentally very agitated. Yeah. So even sometimes you go up to like places where it's calm and peace, nice, But then after that, the mind is cannot settle down. We want to look for something to do. Oh. Here, different. Here, calm and peace means that when we able to walk and sit, and yet at the same time, you don't do everything. You don't do anything else. Just walk and sit, whole day through. Yeah? You're not looking for this to do, that to do, and so on. Yeah? So, if the yogi is not careful with this state of mind, when it's tranquil, it's calm, and then the mind gets attached to it, all yogis will definitely get attached to it one time or another if it comes up to you. Yeah, if it come up to you one time or another, you will get attached to it. As I said, this is not the ordinary type of peace, calm, because this is more spiritual type of calm, meaning that it's more connected to the mental development type of calm. So this is important. So this is important, and because it's there, the mind gets attached to it. Now, if you get attached to it, after a while, you realize that you are attaching to it. All you need to do is just note it only. Not, tranquil, 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 calm, 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 calm. Or liking, or wanting, or seeking for it. That is to say, sometimes the seeking for it means that before you sit down, you're already wishing for those things to come already. Wishing for that state of mind to come, peaceful and wonderful. Yeah. You don't wish for your pain to come, do you? We don't. Because it's opposite. This is pleasant. This is pleasant object. So the desire for it is very strong. Unpleasant object, the aversion, the pushing away is very strong. So the pleasant object right now, the mind tends to grab hold of it. So any object that arises, whether it's mental state or physical body, whenever it's pleasant, then you got to take note, pay attention to it. Calm, 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 peaceful, 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 peaceful. Now, if you do in this way, then you are in the correct track, in the right track of vipassana. The moment you get attached to it and it gets stronger from, as I said, from delight, craving towards it, as it becomes stronger, it will begin to change, the defilement begin to change to mana, pride. You think that you are much better than other people. You think that you are greater yogi. You think that you are wonderful yogi. You think that you have a very deep insight and so on. Yeah? It's already changed from craving, desire into wrong thinking, wrong perception. Other words, it's a form of mana coming in already. The ego starts coming in already. The pride starts coming in. And these things, when it's not checked over time, uh, over time, it will keep on rolling and going on again and again, and it turns into wrong view. Wrong view that one believes that this is nibbana or this is jhana, and this is dangerous. This is already become very dangerous. And when it becomes into a wrong view, that means the mind is already fixed with that wrong view. Very difficult to undo. Very difficult to undo. Whether they are samatha meditators or vipassana meditators, they get fixed into this type of wrong view about the object they're meditating, then it's very difficult to undo. Uh, Hopefully, they one day they realize, But I've seen yogis, they realize it after 10 years, after 15 years, after 20 years. Only they realize that they're not going anywhere. Many yogis, many meditators fall into this trap. So as long as you note them, then perfectly you're fine. Yeah? We'll move on to a next way of how we look at tranquility. Now we're going to apply, arouse that tranquility or the calm state of mind to overcome mental agitation. The mental agitation is one of the most problematic for yogis in the modern world. Why? Because they pay you to think, isn't it? They not pay you for your muscle. They pay you to think. And because they pay you to think, you've been thinking for how long have you been working until you retire? I only work for 2 years, 3 years, yeah, somewhere there. Yeah. For you all, it's like 30 years, 40 years, and still not enough. Still, uh, and because of that, the mind is habitually going from one thought after another thought after planning and planning and planning and planning and planning. Sometimes we think too much, the mind gets into restlessness. Restlessness, sometimes too much gets into anxiety or whatever, sometimes, or another type of agitation of the mind also because of the mind keep on seeking for things. One area is because of that central desire too. Central desire also because of you like this, you like that, you see this thing beautiful, that thing is nice, and then you want it, you're wishing for it, then the mind also get agitated. Wanting it again and again and again and again, seeking for it again and again. Many things in our life, we get agitated because of that. Yeah? Another form of agitation is also come in as a ill will or anger. So during that time also ill will, anger, including fear, including sadness, this all falls under the second hindrance. This type of that means that the mind is agitated, connected to something that you don't like. That means the object is you don't like it, you don't see it, you don't perceive it as nice, you don't perceive it as beautiful, then therefore you get averse to it. And therefore the mind gets go into anger, aversion, impatience, and so on. So the mind also get agitated. Even when you are drowsy also, there's also minor agitation. Sometimes once in a while, You just take any of your sleeping meditation time. Not sleeping, your drowsiness time, when you're sitting time. Just take one of them. Yeah? You got so many in between. Just pick up one of them. Pay attention to it. Sometimes you notice that there are thoughts are just floating through. It felt like it is not a very clear thought. It felt like a dreamy type of thoughts that is passing through. And while you are there, that is a minor type of agitation. It's still there. Now, in the type of the fourth type of hindrances, which is restlessness and worry. Restlessness is a pure agitation. It's not connected with anger, connected with greed. It's just random, lah. The thought just random, but it's a lot. But it cannot stop. It just go a lot. Sometimes our thinking, sometimes certain parts of our thinking, if you notice, when you meditate, certain times of our thinking has a very specific theme. The theme is on, let's say, on food. Let's say, then think about it, food. Maybe I should go back and cook this way. Maybe you should ask our cook here how they cook this. How come I try every time cannot one? Then you keep on thinking. It's specifically on that theme. They're agitated around that type of thoughts. Sometimes it could be connected with your work. You connected your work, and then the thoughts running about the work, even you're not working right now. Or connected to your family. Then the thoughts go around it. So a lot of it can be connected to our sensual desire. Or sometimes with the person you don't like or the situation that you don't like. You recall it, and then again it goes around about that thoughts. So it's very specific in their theme. But the one in the restless mind, there's no story. It's just random. You meditate, and suddenly this thing comes in, then pop, it goes away. But it comes another one, then it pops again. Then it comes another, it go again, come here, go there. By the time you get up, you do not know what you are thinking about, but you know that you are thinking a lot. You can't remember what you think, but a lot. And that is more of a restless type of mind. Yeah. Yeah. Worry type of mind, again, here is connected to something that you have done or something that you have not done. Something you have done, perhaps the unwholesome things that you have done, or something wholesome things that you have not done, perhaps. Yeah? It goes into remorse, it goes into regret, it goes into a lot of worry about all these type of things. So again, here, it's kind of like a specific theme on it. Yeah? Then doubt. Doubt also is an agitation of the mind. Doubt here, skeptical doubt, that means that it's more like internalized. Then you doubt about yourself, whether you can able to do this practice or not. You doubt whether you can able to stay for the whole 3 months or not. You stay whether 2 weeks or so can survive or not. Doubt. Sometimes you will just do a little bit, but that day not so good anymore. And things are not going well, and then after that you think whether I should go back or not. Should I do this or not? Should I do that? All kinds of thinking. The confidence starts to vary to all this time. So internally, the mind is running, keep on running around that specific thing. So skeptical doubt. You're losing confidence about the practice, or sometimes the Buddha, the Dhamma, the Sangha, the confidence starts to shake. Talking about confidence, and talking about faith and skeptical doubt. That's long ago. I was giving a talk somewhere in Meta Lodge. Yeah, Meta Lodge. Yeah, the old Meta Lodge. Then I was giving a talk. Somebody asked me. So I was talking about faith at that time. And then at the end of the talk, there was a question. It says, Bante, I've been Buddhist from very young. From young, I was born as a Buddhist and I raised in a Buddhist culture. You know, since you talk about faith now, and faith can be disturbed by all these external things and so on. He says that I don't think I can able to become shaken by all these type of things. Yeah. Cannot be shaken by all this type because from young I'm been a Buddhist, very much uh, confidence in the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. Yeah. But I sense that no matter where, no matter how much confidence that you have through your through your upbringing, through your practice, and through your understanding about Buddhism, as long as you don't cross over as a Sotapanna, then their chances is still there. Because in this world, there are people who can able to convince you. Like like people can scam you nowadays. The scammer. You see, you got how many degrees also they can scam you. Yeah. Nowadays the scammer is so good. So too, in the world of religious, in the world of spiritual world, or so-called spiritual world, there are people who can able to speak very well. There are people who can speak anything. Nowadays, you just speak nonsense also, people believe you, want to know. You look at the internet enough, full of nonsense and people believe them. So in the world, you just speak any nonsense, people can still believe you, and they think you're a god, or almost a god, almost a deva. So in the world like that, perhaps sometimes you may think that um, spiritually you're quite okay. But as I said, that there is always a possibility. Just look into ourselves that how many times we are, the salesperson speaks much more better, convince you, you buy. Even the 5,000 ringgit also you buy. Even how many thousand buy. It's all about convincing. So skeptical about something like that. Because as much as they can convince you something, they can also stir up your conviction on something else also. That means you thought that you very strong in understanding Buddhism, let's say. They can come in and they speak and they reason out everything here and there, then your confidence also starts shaken. There's two different, there are two different things. One, they tell you something good, then you get fall into it. Or they tell you something is no good, then also you get shaken. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, that is all agitation. Now, the one that I'm going to touch upon it for tonight now, it's more on we look into the restless mind first. Because after all for those who just came on Saturday, how many days already today? Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. 6 days, right? 5 days. Here is when your restlessness is going to start. After all your sleepiness, after all your drowsiness over, that is where, not to say over, but it's getting less. Your body is more adapted to the environment, to the walking, sitting, early waking up, early sleeping, 10 o'clock sleep. Then once your body get adjusted to it, once you settle down, that is where the restlessness starts coming in, the agitation of the mind starts coming in. Now, when we look at this type of agitation, it's not just only restlessness, but we're going to look into all the several other things also, because dealing with it, In Vipassana, just note now. If Vipassana, but noting sometimes is just not enough. Sometimes you have to have other different skills of noting, also other different ways, which is not Vipassana, to deal with the specific type of all this mental agitation or hindrances. Yeah? We're going to look into it. Yeah? So, as I said, this mental agitation of ours, they are so strong in us that if we don't think, we feel that sometimes, or we think, or we feel that, or we think that there's something very wrong with us if we don't think. Yeah. Much of us, sometimes especially in the more Western world, you're brought up in the thinking, everything has to be analyzed, has to be think, to thought it out detailedly. There are some good things about it come out from it, but also there are also some bad things may come out from it too. Then that's where the bad things are, the difficulty that comes up with the side effect, the bad side effect that comes up with it, then it affects the meditation actually. Yeah. Yeah. While we are doing this meditation, some people, sometimes yogi thought that if you don't think, next time cannot think already, how? There's something wrong, and then something wrong with the whole mind. Then cannot, don't worry, there's nothing going to be wrong with you. The moment you stop this retreat, all everything just flood in. Whether you do it for 1 year or 5 years, still all the thinking mind is just waiting for you. The reason that here, what is important is that we become the master of our thoughts, not the slave for our thoughts. And we can able to control it whenever we need it. You need to think about it, you think about it. When you don't need to think about it, you put aside nothing, completely pay attention to it. That is how we become the mastery of the thoughts. When bad thoughts arises, we put it aside. By mindfulness, we put it all aside. We know that it's bad thought, we put it aside. The restless mind arises, we know it, we put it aside. That's how we master the mind. We master the thoughts. Somewhere in the sutta also did mention the Buddha. We are not, the most of us, when we are not meditating or not deep enough, then it's where we are the slave of the thoughts. Whenever this type of thoughts arises, then mind gets so agitated. If it's not agitated, it becomes very emotional. That means that sadness coming, fear comes in, anger comes in, desire comes in. We get fixed into all these type of things. So the here Vipassana is to train the mind slowly and slowly. Then the mind becomes much more stronger, clearer, and it can able to know when to think, when not to think. But don't expect one retreat you go back, you're gonna get that lah. It also comes with not how many retreats, it comes with actually the progress of the meditation. Some people within retreat, they progress a lot, well and good. Some people take like 10 years, 20 years, retreat in, retreat out, that little. Then they still got a hard time, But at least because of their persistence, actually they get much more better. Yeah. Now, as I said, this type of restlessness, agitation, for my experience as the teacher, I see these things much more problematic compared to drowsiness or sleepiness, especially the thinking mind. You may not think of things which is unwholesome, but sometimes it's just thinking of a lot of random things and it just cannot stop. Perhaps a lot of us in the Buddhist world, when we come into meditation, you already avoid a lot of unwholesome action and more or less also unwholesome speech. And sometimes also you try to control your unwholesome thoughts also throughout your life. Uh, may not be successful all the time, but you try it here and there. So you think a lot of your wholesome deeds, wholesome things, and so on, which is good, which is fine. So when you come into retreat, when you come into the retreat, due to the nature of the habit of the mind, how you go through your life and how you perceive things, wholesome, unwholesome, and then because of that, this type of thoughts will be more frequently arises in you. Yeah? If you do a lot of dana, and if you are dana queen or dana king, let's say, then a lot of things you talk, your life is all about dana. So a lot of times when you come into a retreat, these type of thoughts will start to spring up, spring up quite a lot. Although it's wholesome mind, but when it comes into meditation, it can be a hindrance. If you are a rich earner, and you go to one week, you go 5 days to work, 8 or 9 hours or 10 hours you spend in the office or whatever your career, spend for 30 years. Because of that also, your life and your thoughts is all molded into that way. So when it comes to your meditation, this type of thoughts is also becomes quite clear. But we are not, humans are not just like that only. For a lot of us, we are attached to our work, one thing, family, another thing, society, maybe Buddhist society thing, another thing. Yeah? Then it all comes up due to your attachment. So some people, their attachment is towards like, you are going to travel. So they meditate, their planning is on travel. So it depends on, you see your thoughts, what type of thoughts come up in more frequently in you, then more or less you know what your character is. Yeah. Most of the time we say that, hey, don't look into the story, say it's easier, but every time it's so right in front of you, all these type of thoughts are very, very clear. Yeah. So a lot of these type of thoughts, so it makes the whole meditation a lot of agitation, and this agitation is not going to stop. It's about how we're going to manage them. Yeah. How we learn to use this calmness, tranquility, or concentration, or even like equanimity to learn to subdue them for a period of time, so that all these hindrances disappear for a period of time. Then we can able to develop something. If the hindrances is there too strong, then it affects our meditation. So this restless mind, this agitated type of mind, then when it comes to meditation, especially when you do this vipassana, more or less you just learn to separate into two different types. One type, the first type is the non-stop agitation, the non-stop thinking. The thinking that is going on and on and on and on and on and on, repeat after, one after another. That is one thing. That one, it becomes into hindrances already. The second one, thoughts come in, but it doesn't stay. It already comes in very fast, it disappears. Then it comes in again. Then it stays just for a few thoughts, one or two thoughts, or maybe like a few seconds, then it's already gone. Sometimes it's gone, then you can able to meditate. Then after that, another small one comes in, that this type of thoughts, don't worry about it too much. Yeah? But as long as you are aware, alert of it, it usually will pass through. Yeah? So this is called the sporadic thoughts. This is not the the continuous type of thinking, or continuous type of thoughts. Yeah. Here the thoughts also can be planning, can be imagination, or can be recalling of memories and anything. Yeah? Or even not even the past or future, but also things like in the present, that you are thinking about something like a sound. What is it? What is it? Who is it? Who are they talking? Present things also. And that also is your thoughts. I mean, we put it as thoughts now, just to simplify the understanding. Uh, So here, if it comes in just a little bit here and there, just don't be become too agitated about it. The one that is strong one is more careful. You have to be careful. Now the small little thoughts here and there, the sporadic thoughts here and there, a yogi also must be take note of them, but you don't have to label it as thinking, because the moment you know it, it's already gone. Yeah. Sometimes you do your walking, lifting, pushing, dropping, and then once in a while, this type of thoughts just spring in, and then you notice it, and then you notice it is already gone. Then it's okay. This type of thoughts, all you need to do is learn to accept them as they are. The problem with yogis, many yogis, is that they want perfection. And see, they want perfection is where you suffer. I want my walking completely zero thoughts. No thinking come in my lifting, pushing, dropping. There you are. You're no good already. Lifting, pushing, dropping, lifting, pushing, dropping. Don't come in. There are people like that. Again, this type of perfectionist in their life also, many parts of their work or their career or their lifestyle is also perfectionist type. So they're going to have a lot of mental suffering. Yeah. So you learn to accept them. Mindfulness is not to make it perfect. Mindfulness is also to see its imperfection also. That you begin to accept all this imperfection, then it is mindfulness, because the impact that all these type of little thoughts come in, agitation comes in, is about seeing them as they are, not trying to make them go away here, go away there. I don't want this, I don't want that. I only want what I want. I only want my leg to go like that and not anywhere else. I want the mind to happen in this way and not anything else. I will not compromise. Then you die mentally. You go. This type of, there are yogis like that. There are yogis like that. That mentally become too perfect. They thought that perfect meditation is like that. Perfect meditation is not like that. Perfect meditation is to see all our imperfections too. Yeah? Now, when it happens this way, so when you're walking, lifting, pushing, dropping, and this type of thoughts arising a little bit here and there, just be aware of them. Carry on noticing or what is going on. Uh, uh, Carry on noticing what is going on. If it's in the rising, falling, if in the sitting, touching, or even sometimes in your chewing, biting, and then you notice that these thoughts come in for a while, you're aware of it, it disappears. Take note of it. So it's perfectly all right to take note of all these type of small thoughts that come and go. It doesn't stay, well and good. Keep it like that. And carry on and to whatever that you're doing. Then it's fine. But sometimes the first type of thought is where it becomes very strong. It becomes a prominent object. That is to say, it becomes a your rising, falling is not clear, your lifting, pushing, dropping is not clear, and all kinds of chattering and all kinds of thoughts are all there. Sometimes these thoughts can be running from present, chattering, run into planning, run into pass, run into anything. And then with that, it pulls the emotional states come in, then there goes your meditation for that sitting or for that walking. It starts to become very agitated. One of the cause of this mental agitation is that, just now we talk about that sporadic thoughts come here and there. These sporadic thoughts, if you are not mindful of it, this is where the small little fire will go and create all the big fire. So therefore, you have to pay attention to it. You got to pay attention to it. This is where you begin to learn to feel the signs of when the restless mind is going to come in. One of it is to see these small little thoughts that's going to come in. And starting, it may be just a little bit here, a little bit, then you can meditate, then a little bit come in, then you can meditate, and so on. But after that, it come in more frequently. That you begin to notice that the thoughts coming in quite a lot, then you can meditate, but still quite a lot can meditate. Sometimes, not only that, sometimes your lifting, pushing, dropping, or your rising, falling still very clear. But that thoughts is just on the top there. It's just on the top there. And you felt that it's a bit difficult to meditate. There's so much thoughts there, and yet you can able to notice what is going on. If that happened, still continue. The thought is about to become restless already. And that is how we look at the signs. See how sometimes it grows a little bit here and there. When the mind becomes agitated, truly agitated, that means your mind is already unable to notice the rising, falling, unable to notice the lifting, pushing, dropping. That means your mind is already totally forgetful already of the meditation object. So it goes into a lot of all these type of thoughts. So it's a matter of paying attention to how it begins. Also, this is one way to reduce it. So when this happen, so when this type of things happen, what you can do is that sometimes if in the walking, all you need to do is just change the speed of the walking. Is one way. Just move a little bit faster or move a little bit slower. It all depends. Again, this is trial and error thing, Yeah. Because sometimes you go a little bit slower, the concentration and the focusing is coming more clearer, and then it pulls the mind and it quiets all the chattering. Sometimes because of you're going too slow, and then that's where the effort gets in too much. You try to notice too detailedly, the mind starts to become over efforting already. It begins to over effort, then it starts to a lot of thoughts come in. Then you go faster just to reduce the whole over efforting, and then after that, the mind can come down. Yeah, this is one thing. Or sometimes we learn to take these secondary objects of the walking. The secondary objects of the walking is all above the knees. The ankles, from the ankles above to your top of your head. Any of them can be a secondary object. Like, for example, the hips are moving, the back are moving, or the sensation of the knees are moving, the thighs are moving. There are so many parts of the body is moving. And in moving, they have their own rhythm of moving. So here, noticing the secondary object is to change from the primary object, lifting, pushing, dropping, change it into the secondary object. Perhaps you can still go at the same speed. You still can go in the same speed, or you can still, if you want to change your speed, also can. But what is important is that you begin to notice the other objects, the pattern of how other secondary objects are moving. Perhaps the hips are moving, how the hips are moving. Sometimes the knees are moving, how the knees are moving, in what way the knees are moving. So sometimes you can notice a difference in the pattern, maybe right leg with one pattern, left leg another pattern, because you can able to notice that the mind get interested into what is going on, then the agitation just disappear. So this is when the minor agitation, little thing is going to come up, spring from there. Now in the strong agitation, the one that is very continuous and becomes very prominent. This time we need to learn to pay attention to it because it's a prominent object right now. Noticing these things noticing this type of objects, of course, you need to know that it's already there. Most of the time when this type of agitation comes in, whether it's connected with sensual desire or just random thoughts or anything, our mind is already fall into its story already. And it's so strong that it drags you into it. You want to justify a lot of things. You want to recreate the whole scene. You want to straighten whatever that's wrong. You want this, you want that, you plan this and you want to plan that. Yeah. Sometimes you unplan and then replan again. A lot of things that the mind can do. Yeah. So as the moment you fall into the story, whatever story that you have, whether it's any story that you fall into it, that means the completely that time the mind is not mindful. That means you are not mindful. That means you cannot do the noting. As simple as that. You cannot catch that it's already the thoughts already arises. Then is as long as you cannot catch it, then you cannot note it. So the thing is that to catch it, to catch the thoughts. A lot of times we have to remind ourselves. We remind ourselves during in the meditation. Remind yourself, don't fall into the thoughts. Whatever thoughts coming in, they are just only mental creation only. They are only mental creation. You see your mother inside there. What is that? Mental creation only. You see your parents inside there. Mental creation. You see your children there. Mental creation only. You see Deva flying. What is that? Imagination or mental creation only. You think that is so real. Mental creation. Everything is all concepts. It's all created by the mind. So then, I mean, as much as we say right now, tomorrow you still fall into it. No? Yeah. But at least here, as a Vipassana meditator, your time fall into it gets shorter and shorter. That is most important thing. It gets shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter until you know that, there you are again. Then you don't fall into it. So here the problem is that if when the mindfulness is not strong, when we fall into it, it can goes into half an hour, 1 hour. Then if not finish enough, next sitting you come in, re-continue all the thoughts all over again. Next morning you'll come back again, and then you just keep going and going and going. It can make your life difficult. Yeah. This is one thing. We got to be mindful. At least you have to able to catch it. Then you have to able to catch it. The next thing is that you must see all these type of thoughts that is not yours. You see that this is not yours. Because if you the mind that creates your image of your mother, image of the situation, image of anything, even your conversation inside, even you see yourself inside there, you must learn to put it like, this is not mine. This is not me. This is not myself. You put it kind of like you pull the mind again and again out from it, or just before you meditate, sometimes you just have to remind yourself, all these are just creation of the mind. And you have to see that this creation is something as suffering. Yeah, you have to see those things as something as suffering. At least you tell yourself that this is just hindrances of the mind. This is something that is not that pleasant in that sense. Uh, at least you prime the mind, before even sometimes you meditate. So you really prime the mind a little bit. Uh, when you prime that mind, let's say in the beginning of the sitting, when you prime it now, when it comes into the sitting, that is where, when it arises and it becomes too much, sometimes because of your priming earlier on, it reduces a little bit. Sometimes it reduces. So the thoughts are already there, quite a lot. The thinking comes in again and again. So the first thing that you can catch it is because there's some degree of presentness of mind is there. That means some degree of mindfulness is there. That means you know that it's all this going on. Because of the mindfulness is there, then the non-attachment towards the thoughts begin to getting stronger a little bit. You don't see it as an I also is already a little bit there, depending on how strong the mindfulness is. So there is the mind, your this one is not fall into the story, but now it's like able to stand back and the story is still there. Okay, the story is still there. That means you're alert about it that is happening at the present moment. The next thing is to learn to accept it. The acceptance is so important here because it's going to come in again and again and again and again. You're going to stretch your patience into a very, very thin. And it's so thin until sometimes when the patience break, then you get uh, very agitated. Well, no, sorry, agitated. You want to suppress it. You want to suppress it. You don't want it. You don't want all these type of thoughts, horrible thoughts, thinking thoughts, and you know that it's so difficult, but it still cannot go away. So some people they resort to all kinds of things, which can be very wrong. The way of vipassana is we use all forms of wholesome mental states, whether it's mindfulness or whether it's tranquility, concentration, or whatever wholesome mental states to reduce and to overcome this type of agitation of the mind. A lot of times we don't do that. Yogis tend to suppress them. Tend to suppress them. You see, like earlier on, the one that I talked about, the yogi is like trying to be perfect in their thoughts, So every time, sometimes what they do is that they do the walking, let's say, they mentally is so ready, ready not to pay attention, but ready where the thoughts come in. That means lifting, pushing, where are you? Lifting, pushing, dropping, like that boy. Still not here yet. Lifting, there you are, pop, you just knock it down. Lifting, pushing, dropping, there you are, pop, you knock it down. That type of attitude, that they have is like, because sometimes they, again, as I said, they want perfection. So the way that they do it is like they're taking a hammer inside the mind, like the bum. Like the old days, they have an arcade game, all these things that pop up, you knock it, come up, you knock it. So they are mentally, they are like that. They are mentally like that. So very stressed out, the whole mind. That is not the way. That means that way, they thought that is right, but actually they are not accepting the thoughts. They're not accepting it. So when they're not accepting it, they use various kinds of wrong way just to suppress it. Other words, what is behind it is a lot of aversion towards the thoughts. The mind wants perfection. The mind averse to anything that is below their bar, below their standard. So below that only, their mind gets agitated. So they're agitated, it comes in like One of the ways is like this, try to knock it down. Uh, uh, because sometimes for some yogis, this type of thoughts can be a lot. And certain days, your meditation will be a lot. Some days can be quite cool and peaceful. The next day, hurricane, like tornado inside there. Cannot stop. Cannot stop. Uh, so a lot of agitation is this one. So a lot of times they are not able to accept those things. Now, even with those type of thoughts that's running through here and there, so much thoughts, your job is to learn to accept them first. Sometimes it's just by accepting them. Accepting them again does not mean don't care, don't bother. Some yogis, again, on the other extreme, they will think that acceptance means, come lah, think, come and think. Think until the mind will no more energy, then it won't think one. Let it be, let it be. That also is wrong. That also is wrong. You don't, that means they are not actually accepting in the sense of the way of mindfulness. You just don't care, don't bother. Whatever you want to think lah. You just give up already. That also is not the way. So the way of acceptance means you try to be aware of it, that it's there. You're neither pushing it away, neither you welcome it. Okay? You're neither pushing it away, you neither welcome it. But this is only the first part, only that we haven't overcome anything yet. But before even we overcome, the attitude of the mind has to be correct. That means the acceptance part of it, don't push it away, neither you welcome it. Let it be as an object. Let it be as an object, like it's there, that your mind begins to able to see them as they are. All right? Now, before we go, we just give you one thing only, one or two things, so that hopefully tomorrow work, then tomorrow night we continue a little bit more. The way of vipassana, is to note them directly. But to note them directly, especially the agitated state of mind, it has to be connected with tranquility. Not just only mindful, but calm mindfulness. When you are sleepy, that is active mindfulness. You have to exert active mindfulness when you are drowsy. But when your state of mind is agitated, that is where the calm mindfulness has to come in. Your mind is still alert, but the mind is calm. How do we do that? Then this is way how you note, and also maybe you label your object. Say here, the thoughts are running one after another. Then you know that you are not fall into it. You're not falling into it, and you watch it passing through after another, passing through. While you're noticing these things, what you can do is this. You note them. Thinking, or planning, or memories. While you're watching it, you see that one thought passing after another. Sometimes these thoughts can be quite fast. One after another, it can be quite fast. So you watch it. Sometimes this type of thoughts, it comes in with some kind of aversion, because that thought is maybe connected to something that you don't like in the past. Then this time you notice it as aversion, or thinking. Does not matter as long as you note something. Yeah, as long as you note something. You know that it is unpleasant, it is not so feel so good. And then you note it. Aversion, or thinking, or restless. Okay? Now, while you're noting it in this way, you see its characteristic, how it changes from one thought after another thought, one thought after another thought. Sometimes these thoughts, you can notice it like it's a very strong and it changes quite fast, one after another. Sometimes it changes slower. So fast, slow, something it change, it's the characteristic that we are supposed to pay attention to. So once in a while you're paying attention to it, the Images sometimes can be quite clear to you. So as long as you don't attach to all these images, creation of the mind, whether you see your mother's face, you see your this and that, you don't get connected to it, then that time you are paying attention to see what is going on. Okay, so this is one way. So another one to add into all these things is to note it with a more gentle but firm mind, a more gentle noting. Uh, Gentleness here is where the tranquility starts to come in. That means to say, you watch all these thoughts as passing through one after another, it goes through one after another, one after another. While you're paying attention to it, let's say you are labeling thinking, now you label it thinking, 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 or planning, planning, or aversion, aversion, aversion. More softer, but still noticing it. You label it a little bit slower. You notice it slightly slower. Then that time you begin to arouse a little bit of calmness to come in. Whether it's concentration a little bit or whether it's tranquility a little bit does not matter. What matters is a calm state of mind in order to overcome an active state of mind. So the calm state of mind, it's where the mindfulness that's have to come in also. They come in together to see how the characteristics are changing. At the same time, the calmness is there to notice, to learn to slowly calm down those type of thoughts. So both works together, then you'll find that the thoughts slowly and slowly it will fade off. Yeah. Try that and see lah. This is how the way of vipassana is to be done. Say it's easy. Tomorrow the moment no, you just fall into it again. But this is trying. You have to fall a number of times until you get your skills right, your mental skills to get it right. Okay? We will stop here. We'll continue on tomorrow. Share merits. Idang me bawanang nibbanasa pachayo hotu. May my mental cultivation be a condition for the realization of Nibbana. Imang no punya bagang sapa satanang dema. We share these merits with our departed ones, with all beings and all the devas. Sape satta sukhi hontu anumodantu. May all beings be happy. May they rejoice in these merits. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.